I only have 15 seconds to tell you about Sport Clips haircuts. Sports on TV, original MVP haircut experience, and online check-in means you don't have to think about where to get your haircut ever again. Claim your spot today. SportClips.com/check-in.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen. First, everybody.
What up, yo?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
Let's just start the show like Chappelle.
It's Dev. That's the thing. Dev is still being trained. You know what I mean? Reggie's there, looking over his shoulder. The rhythm of the open, he hasn't really fully figured out yet. But what do?
We start the program.
It makes me sad, Dev. I can't lie. Let's move on. So we do this thing, right? As media, we do this thing this year in the NBA, and we've done it on this show a million times because we do the show every day. And what do we do all the time? We ask the same question. Are the Rockets a real threat to the Warriors, right? And I was watching the Warriors yesterday in New York, okay? And they looked awful in the first half. And so I knew at halftime, I knew exactly what was going to happen. They were going to come out and they were going to dominate in the third quarter like they always do. Here's the thing, Jalen. The third quarter Warriors are the real Warriors. You know, the third quarter Warriors are the real Warriors. The playoff Warriors that we're going to see, the finals Warriors we're going to see, the lockdown defense and the scoring and the ball movement and the picking and the organization, that's the real Warriors. And I've got myself convinced that we are all just scratching and clawing for some storyline that's going to convince us to make this whole postseason more interesting. But the third quarter Warriors are going to play in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter in the playoffs. And they're going to go on another run like they did last year. Am I wrong?
You're wrong, sir.
Ooh, I like this.
And like Biggie said, you're dead wrong.
I like first take, Jalen.
Here's why. The Houston Rockets are legit. And there's a reason why Chris Paul left the Clippers to go to Houston. They were already one of the top teams in the West. James Harden was already an MVP candidate. Now you add the playmaking, the scoring, the ball handling, the toughness of Chris Paul, his ability to compete on the defensive side of the floor. With the Rockets, we just always were enamored with the fact that they were able to shoot the three at a record rate, and they were basically bombing teams out of the building.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden, they have a level of balance. Ariza, Capella, Bamute, Tucker, along with CP3, are all really good defensive players. Mm-hmm. Anderson, Gordon, they're knockdown shooters. And they just added Joe Johnson, who can get buckets and is a clutch performer and can play some small ball four. And when the Golden State Warriors go to their quote-unquote depth lineup, he can guard Draymond Green. And so I'm looking at what the Rockets have done, and I'm like, if the Golden State Warriors aren't playing their best, they can be eliminated by the Houston Rockets. Don't get it twisted.
But that's exactly my point, is if the Golden State Warriors aren't playing their best, and we've seen them be a little bit complacent, they kind of limped into the All-Star break, but when they turn it on, those third quarter Warriors, the third quarter Warriors are the Warriors that you're going to see in the playoffs. In the first quarter, the second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter. Like, I really believe that we are all tricking ourselves by trying to build up this challenge in the Western Conference Finals, what we believe will be the Western Conference Finals. And it's not true. It's not going to happen.
That, family, you can't just say the third quarter Warriors are now going to play like that for four quarters.
I just did, twice.
I know, but it doesn't work that way, sir. I promise you it doesn't. How about saying this? The Houston Rockets, when Harden, CP3, and Capella play, are a four-quarter team. As a matter of fact, they only lost one game when they've all been participating. That is legit. And here's something that I want everybody to look for. I got a big word I'm going to use.
What?
Depth. How many fouls did Draymond Green get? 6. And how many players can they throw at him to try to not only frustrate him, but are going to make him work for everything he gets on the floor? Like 4 or 5.
Do they reset the technical thing for the playoffs?
They do reset it.
They reset it,
If you get
right?
16 in the regular season, now you get suspended on number 18. So every other one at that point, he gets suspended. And I already mentioned on this network and on this show and on Countdown that his technical the other day was going to be rescinded.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be rescinded. He was yelling at the crowd. He wasn't yelling at the ref or yelling at another player.
Well, actually, he initially yelled at the player and he thought about it. He looked at the crowd.
Yeah, he looked at the other player. He looked at the other player and he was about to, and then he turned to the crowd and yelled. I saw the exact same play. But so you get him every other 2, but in the playoffs, does it continue every other 2? Or do you get a reset?
You get a reset once the playoffs start.
Okay.
When the playoffs take place, you get a chance to get up to 6. At number 7, you then get a suspension.
Oh, so he should be able to get through with 6. That can't be too bad. Well, I believe in the third quarter Warriors. Because I was watching the Knicks game, and I think the Knicks were up by 1 at the end of the first half. And I was like, all right, the Warriors were out in New York last night. You know what I mean? Like, they're just coming in a little sluggish. And I know what's going to happen in the third quarter. I know what's going to happen. I think they outscored the Knicks 39-18 in the third quarter. 39
I believe in the
points
fourth
in a quarter.
Rockets.
I understand that, Mr. Rose. I'm just saying. I think that there's a part of this Rockets thing that we're all trying to wish into existence. You know what I mean? I think there's a part of this Rockets thing that we're just trying to project onto them that doesn't really exist, especially when it comes to comparing them to the Warriors. The Rockets did beat the Jazz 13 in a row. It's hard to, disparage them.
But here's also where the Golden State Warriors have taken. By the way, I still believe the Warriors are the favorite. I'm not going to come with the hot take and pick the Rockets, but I'm telling you, it's a 7-game series right off the top. And if whoever's not physically or emotionally engaged, when it gets really tight, is going to lose that series. It's not. And the Warriors don't defend the way they once did. Yeah, you saw the third quarter Warriors, but guess what? The Knicks was getting buckets.
Yeah, the Porzingis-less Knicks.
Okay, say that again.
The Porzingis-less Knicks. You know what I love, though? Can we talk about this? Trey Burke, your guy, Trey Burke, he went full Allen Iverson. Like, not only does he have the braids, he's wearing the sleeve, and he's got a body type like Allen Iverson. Is he doing this consciously?
So a couple of things. I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to do that on this show one day, where we do lookalikes. So we'll put up J. Cole, and we'll put up his look. Was it what they call it, a doppelganger?
Mm-hmm. Doppelganger. Look at you. First of all, you said big word, then you said depth earlier in the show.
So we'll put him up next. We'll put J. Cole next to Tobias Harris. And then
Don't do him now. We'll save him for the show. But
my point is, the reason why I use that as an example is they just look alike, period. It seems like little bro Trey is trying to look like AI.
Yes, he is. Like, he does feel like he's trying. The sleeve is, like, I get the braids. Look, just because you have the same hairstyle doesn't mean you look alike. But the sleeve is when it's really like, okay, I see what's happening here.
But I gotta give my little bro a shout, though.
Oh, for sure. He's been balling.
Because he was out of the league.
Yes.
A first-round pick.
Yes.
A guy that was College Player of the Year was out of the league. Shout to Scott Perry, the general manager of the New York Knicks, resurrecting Trey Burke, getting him back in the league to the point where just 2 games ago, he had 26 points in 15 minutes.
Well, you know why, right? Because you've got a healthy Jarrett Jack sitting on the sidelines. Like, the tanking thing is real. You know what I mean? Like, Jarrett Jack is not getting any minutes anymore, and he's, and early in the year when they had Porzingis and they were trying to win, there was a lot of Jarrett Jack out there, and now all of a sudden there's not.
No, I look at it, it's different in their case.
How you say? How you figure?
They're trying to find a point guard. They drafted one in the first round. They traded for another first rounder in Moutier. Now you have Trey Burke. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to see which one of those guys can possibly emerge as their point guard versus having to go get one this offseason.
As good as Jarrett Jack is, he's not the point guard in 2020. You know what I mean? So I did like the performance they put on in the first half. It was fun to watch. As a Die Easy Knicks fan, had the Garden excited.
Hit the brakes, please.
Okay.
Can we get? Is there a limit on the number of teams you can be die easy for?
No. You know how Die Easy fandom works, Jalen. You know how Die Easy fandom works. You know, that's how it works. I can do whatever I want. You know what I do when I go to games? This is for real. This is the most Die Easy thing I do. When I go to games, you know who I root for?
The home team?
Home team. Yeah, just to be excited. I like the energy. I like the collective energy of the human beings around me. I like to get swept up in the emotion. Like, I just swear, the Podfather doesn't listen to this show, so he won't mind. But when I go to Clippers, Celtics games or something, I'll root against the Celtics. I like to high five the people around me. I like to chant defense. You know what I mean? I like the collective energy. I like to stand up in a big possession. I can't be, that's why I'll never get a press pass. 2 reasons I'll never get a press pass. I'll never get credentialed. Number 1, you can't drink, right? So, you know. And number 2, you got to act like you don't care about the game. You know what I mean? Like, when you're in the press area, you have to, like, sit there and be like, well, I'm a journalist. None of the outcome of this game doesn't affect me. I'm just here to analyze the performances of the different teams.
That's hilarious.
I'm definitely not a Die Easy Yankee fan. I will never leave my Red Sox when it comes to baseball. But I do love that Russell Wilson is at Yankees spring training. And he had a couple goes in the batting cage. Hit 3 dingers. I watched a clip. In 6 pitches. He hit 3 home runs. It was pretty impressive, which led me to believe this is a thing that this is a bargument that everyone has had. Could you hit a home run in a National League park, in a Major League Baseball park?
No.
I don't think I could even come close. We all have that one friend that's like, oh, I could hit a home run. Like, no, you couldn't. No, you could not.
I really like baseball, and this theory is always thrown out there by people who have never actually been inside of a baseball stadium. And you see 300 feet, you're like, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
That's 3 football fields.
What'd you say, Jalen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Football field's 100 yards. Let's give people what they want.
I would say that you are the worst hitter of someone who carries a baseball bat all the time. Like, the amount of time that you've held a baseball bat and how good you are at the plate, like, that's completely off. You're right.
Hold on now. We should do it for this program. We talked about just getting out of the studio and doing some things that we're passionate and interested in so people can see a different side of us. One of the things I'll challenge us to do is go to the batting cage. You'll feel a little bit different about that comment once you see me in the cage.
I don't think I've swung a baseball bat at a ball since Coney Island in 2003.
I'll be in the batting cage, and I can go 85 miles an hour, fam. Don't sleep.
Don't talk about it, be about it. Let's get the people what they want.
Got to give the people now. Give people what they want.
Hello, I'd like to deposit this to checking.
Fate is a fickle master.
What?
The future is uncertain.
Okay, and what's my account balance?
The horizon is cloudy. I see a long, treacherous voyage filled with great peril.
Look, can I just get a deposit slip or something?
A fortune bank teller. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I see a yellow-eyed serpent and a low APR.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Anthony Davis has been on an absolute tear of late. And last night against the Suns, he absolutely dominated. He had 53 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 blocks, and 3 fouled out opponents. His last 6 games have been absolutely otherworldly. I said absolutely like a million times. Yesterday, you told me, Jalen Rose, that he would not challenge James Harden for MVP. If he keeps playing like this, don't you think he could challenge James Harden for MVP?
He's not going to challenge James Harden for MVP because I think he's the clear-cut favorite, and not just by his personal productivity, but also the team success and him having the best record in the league. But here's what he has done. Amongst the players that are far behind in the conversation, he now catapulted himself into that elite, and that includes Russell Westbrook, LeBron James. Can't have this conversation without saying KD
Giannis.
Or Steph Curry. And so now when you talk top players in the game, he will be mentioned. And usually that mirrors the MVP race.
I feel like if they left in the standings, like because it's all jumbled up there in the Western Conference, if they ended up with like a 5 seed or a 4 seed, could be in the conversation, but I do think that his run of late might ruin James Harden's chances at a unanimous MVP. Moving on.
James Harden wouldn't have been unanimous anyway. The media is going to make sure that never happens again the way it did for Steph Curry.
Moving on. You remember Greg Popovich? He had some things to say about Kawhi Leonard and his injury and his availability last week. Let's listen again.
We only have X number of games left in the season, and he's still not ready to go. And if by some chance he is, it's going to be pretty late into the season, and it's going to be a tough decision. How late you bring somebody back. So that's why I'm just trying to be honest and logical. I'll be surprised if he gets back this year.
Well, guess what, Mr. Rose? Now Woj is reporting that Kawhi Leonard is back with the Spurs, and he's going to play 5-on-5 in practice, and he's targeting a March return. Do you think there's a direct link between Popovich's comments and Kawhi's return to San Antonio?
I don't think so. He did get cleared by the squad. He got a second opinion that also just acknowledged that how much he's going to be willing to play with some level of pain and discomfort as he works himself back into the lineup. But Pop put down the gauntlet in a different way. Basically, he said, if he's not back by X amount of time, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to bring him back regardless. So now that creates a sense of urgency on both sides. And again, Kawhi Leonard loves to play basketball as much as he loves breathing. He wants to be out there. Pop wants him out there. The team is doing a terrific job of playing without him. If he is able to get back into the lineup, now the Spurs become that team that we see able to create regular season success and turn it into postseason success and have a top flight player back in the lineup. They then become an instant problem for the rest of the league.
How much validity do you think that this could possibly all lead to Kawhi Leonard playing in a different uniform?
I know this. We'll know the answer really fast. As a matter of fact, in July, because he has an opportunity to sign a maximum contract.
Huge contract.
Of over $200 million.
Huge contract.
If he decides not to exercise that right, he clearly is waffling on whether he wants to be in San Antonio. So we don't have to do any guesswork at that point.
So far, everyone that's been eligible for that contract that you're discussing has signed it. So I would be surprised. I would be surprised. Too. So would I. So would I.
CP3 didn't sign it.
A little bit different, but we'll move on. Well, you know who's looking for a max contract this offseason? A gentleman by the name of Isaiah Thomas. And we don't talk about him anymore because he's no longer on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who we talk about all the time. But he is playing on the Lakers, and they were in Atlanta. He's dribbling in the lane. He stops his dribble, gets a little lost, and then just kind of, I don't even know what was that? What was that, Jalen Rose?
Yeah, he let go of the rope. That's what we call that one.
What's that mean? What's letting go of the rope?
Like at a moment where things get really intense and it becomes life or death moment, he just let go of the rope. Like, just take the ball.
Just forget it.
Just take it.
I let go of the rope like 4 times a show on this show. Jalen's talking crazy. I'm just going to let go of the rope. Thank you so much. I remember you telling me how great Miles Bridges was. It was years ago before he was a thing. You said this kid is going to be a player in the league, and he was on Michigan State. Well, he's still on Michigan State. However, because of the FBI investigation and an alleged dinner that his family had with an agent without his knowledge, he was declared ineligible by the NCAA. Oh, guess what? He was reinstated and played this weekend. Why was he reinstated, Jalen Rose? Because he gave $40 to a charity. Then he was declared eligible again. Jalen, I find this absolutely absurd that a $40 donation to a charity is bringing a player from ineligible to eligible to play basketball. Do you find this is as absurd as I do?
The NCAA is all over the place with their rulings, and it's such a mockery how all of these scenarios have transpired. So let me get this right. Sean Miller allegedly is on a wiretap talking about possibly getting a player $100,000.
DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton plays in the game. Mm-hmm. He isn't allowed to coach. And the NCAA comes out that day and clears all of the players that were mentioned in the sanctions. You know why? Because those guys play on teams that are ranked. And the NCAA is not allow you or anybody else to mess with their NCAA tournament because people are going to be filling out brackets that have never watched college basketball, betting on that sport. As a matter of fact, filling out multiple brackets to watch players like this play. So a $40 donation to a charity, again, I don't disparage the young man. He's just doing what he's asked to do.
Of course.
But it just continues to show how everything with the NCAA is a transaction.
Is about money. It's just so insane to me that you can be ineligible to play basketball, but then you can rummage through your couch for $40 and then put it in like one of those cans next to the register at 7-Eleven, and then all of a sudden you can play basketball again. Like the $40 thing. And also, who gets a meal for $40? They said $40 was the meal. How many people were at this dinner? Where did they go? You know what I mean? Because $40 for multiple people that's a McDonald's. You know what I mean? But another thing is like, do you think that there will be players that will miss games because of their involvement in this investigation?
Absolutely not. That's the point I was just trying to make. All the NCAA will do is be retroactive and go back and vacate wins, which is basically irrelevant to do. Look through the landscape of collegiate basketball. There are many notable coaches who've actually had scandals to the point that led to them being suspended and or vacating wins. There's no different in this scenario.
Well, I think that this story is going to fizzle out. Don't you think like by the time this tournament starts that we're all going to stop talking about this FBI investigation, this widespread corruption that we've all acknowledged, that the FBI has investigated and confirmed. And another thing is, do you know when all this FBI investigation was only focused on ASM Sports? It was really centered around one agent. And let's be honest, do you think that agent is the only agent that was involved in this sort of corruption?
Absolutely not. This has been going on since the beginning of time. Let's retire a couple of words that get thrown around with this. Corruption. Amateurism. Like, can we stop throwing those terms around? Like, seriously, that doesn't apply when somebody's trying to help a high school athlete get money in his pocket to compete and play basketball. And again, I'm all for it. The founder of a charter high school, of course, I'm encouraging every person that has an opportunity to go to college. But we're talking about talented individuals who basketball exploits allow them preferential treatment via college to the point where they earn a scholarship. And once you get that scholarship, you can't work. You can't make money off your likeness. You can't sign an autograph. You can't sign a jersey and actually make money. So therefore, the level of amateurism is a joke, and players need to be compensated. They will be compensated, but there has to be some swift decisions being made by the coaches and the players in order to make the NCAA move off of their fiscal stance because they want to pocket all of the money and never share it with the players.
All I'm saying is if you want my son to come to your school to play basketball, you got to spend more than $40 on dinner. That's all I'm saying. You got to spend $40 to get the drinks alone. Moving on, a Philadelphia-based company has taken out 3 billboards about 7 miles away from the Quicken Loans Arena where the Cavaliers play. Why did they do this? Because they want LeBron James to come and play for the Philadelphia 76ers. The company is called Power Home Remodeling that paid for the billboards. Do you think that these tactics will have absolutely any impact on LeBron James' decision?
I think it's brilliant the way people understand how to troll the media, probably spend in Cleveland $2,500 a month for those 3 billboards. And all of a sudden, that $7,500 just gave them $1 million worth of free press.
Oh, of course. If I live in Philly, I'm definitely getting my home remodeled by Power Home Remodeling. I'm definitely going to Power Home Remodeling if I'm getting my home remodeled because he wants the Sixers to get LeBron. Do you think LeBron acknowledges this? Do you think LeBron likes this? Do you think there's just like the idea that Philadelphia wants him so bad could even sway his decision 1%?
It's not going to sway his decision at all. And everybody wants to be liked. Everybody appreciates being recruited and courted, but playing in Philadelphia is something I don't see in LeBron James's future.
I don't either. And you know one of the main reasons I don't see that? Something that you said, Mr. Rose. I rarely give you compliments, so buckle up. You made a great point about this. Ben Simmons and LeBron James are basically the same player. They both need the ball to be effective. So if you have LeBron James, you've then rendered one of the best young players in the league ineffective by having him play off the ball. Great point by you that I will steal when I have arguments with my friends. Moving on Two people that have been in a lot of actual arguments, not barguments, are still going at each other. We all remember last year when Jerry Jones famously blocked the contract extension of Roger Goodell. Tried to fight it, tried to have it not go through, and he was very vocal that Roger Goodell should not get this extension. Well, guess what's happened now? Goodell has fired back. He is now saying, there are reports that he will fine Jerry Jones and the Cowboys up to $2 million plus legal fees because of these actions that were, quote, detrimental to the league. Jalen, you know I love competitive actions. Is this competitive from Roger Goodell?
This is genius. By Roger Goodell.
But no one's ever said that in the history of sports media.
Here's why. Oh, you're going to try to band the owners together and block me from getting my bread that I've earned and the access to the private jet that I want and all of the fine print that's going to get me $40 million a year? You want to get in front of that? Oh, we definitely got a beef. And now all of a sudden I got my bread and we agreed to the contract. Now I'm going to turn around and flip it on you. I'm going to fine you for wasting everybody else's time, energy, and money. Take that, Dallas Cowboys.
Do you think this will have any impact on Jerry Jones and his relationship with the league moving forward?
It doesn't allow the relationship to get better. I'll tell you that. It's not like when the Patriots got caught cheating and then the NFL destroyed the footage. This represents the opposite of that.
The Patriots were never caught cheating. There is no tape of them that they have of other teams' practices. It was cold that day during the playoffs, which is why the balls were deflated. You know that, Jalen Rose. Lonzo.
Zoe.
Mr. Ball.
Big Baller Brand.
Lonzo. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Lonzo Ball? At first on this program, you slandered Nasir Jones, and we had to discuss it. And I understand you're from a different generation than Jalen and I, but disrespecting Nas? It says something about your hip-hop taste, and you consider yourself a rapper. You came out with a mixtape, and you slandered Nasir Jones. I understand everyone's got their own opinions. I don't like to get in the barbershop arguments about who's the greatest and the top 5 dead or alive. I don't like to engage in all that. Everyone's got their own opinions. However, Lonzo Ball came out with his top 5 dead or alive, and he said this to a reporter. You want to know who's on the list, Jalen?
Who's
Future, that? Drake, Quavo, Offset, and 21 Savage. That's his all-time top 5 dead or alive. I understand he's a young man. But there's something about this that really bothers me, Jalen. Is if you call yourself a rapper, you have to respect the legends. And I think that we all put one legacy rapper in our top 5s. We all do it. For me, it's like KRS-One. Like, everyone's got a wild card in their top 5, but like Future, Drake, Quavo, Offset, and 21 Savage? Jalen, I would like to know your reaction to Lonzo Ball's top 5 dead or alive rappers.
My reaction, like you, is a stern one because he fancies himself as an MC. Mm-hmm. If he was just a young man that was talking about the last 5 songs that he listened to,
that's what it felt like,
and those were the artists, I would understand this list because that's what this sounds like.
I love all those artists. I've listened to all those artists in the past 48 hours.
I have too. I listened to all of those artists this morning because they're playing on the radio every 2 seconds.
Exactly.
And rightfully so. Like, all of those guys got hits. We're not disparaging those artists or those MCs.
Of course not.
What we're trying to say is, if you're going to be in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you're going to work on Wall Street, read the Wall Street Journal. You have to be more of a student of the craft if you're going to call yourself an MC. That's all I'm saying.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm probably not, but I'm going to listen to Lonzo's mixtape today. I'm going to listen because we slander him so much. What if it's fire? What if it's just flames? I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to report back tomorrow on the show what I think about Lonzo's mixtape. I'm going to do that. Because I can't judge his music without listening to it yet.
I'm going to answer your question. Here's how you know it's not fire. You didn't hear that it was.
Yeah, no one said that. Haven't heard anything about it. Moving on.
I know one thing. I'm on IG, and my favorite IG post ever was when you had your kids, one saying, I love you, and the other daughter saying, I hate you the next minute. That was so classic.
It was unprompted, and it happened so naturally. Oh, God. I'm going to cry. Let's move on. Not happy tears, by the way. In the final seconds of the Rockets-Jazz game, Chris Paul's got the ball, and he's dribbling out the clock. And, that's James Harden's mom right there. Gives her a high five, and the ref blows the whistle because technically James Harden's mom is out of bounds, and he touched her. Jalen, very important question for you. Are you more surprised that the ref had the gall to blow the whistle, or more surprised that James Harden's mom was at a road game in Utah?
I'm happy that she was at a road game in Utah because he probably didn't invite her when he went to L.A. or New York or those other spots.
He's like, Utah can have dinner with you. We can spend some quality time.
Let me modify that. He's from California.
But
I would like to see if she got invited to New York or Miami or something
Atlanta.
like that.
Let's see. We're against the Hawks. Do you want to come out to that one? That's the only insight that an ex-NBA player can give us. You know what I mean? Right there. It's be like, all right, so I want Moms is going to come to a game. We got Denver. No, let's not go to Denver. We all know why. The Utah. That'll be Salt Lake. That'll be a good one for her to come to. Perfect. Moving on. One of the most heavily debated topics in the NFL last year, talked about all the time, was the catch rule. What's a catch? What's not a catch? It reared its ugly head in the Super Bowl a couple times. And now, according to my man, Raekwon the Schefter, nickname that you don't like, I love it, he's saying that they're going to simplify the catch rule. Jalen, do you have a common sense solution for the catch rule in the NFL?
Hall of Famer Chris Carter and I talked a lot about this. It's really simple, everyone. Here's what a catch is. When I can catch the football, I can stand up and give it to the official. That's a catch.
What? That's your answer?
When you can catch the football, you secure the ball, you can fall down. Dude, you still secure the football. Not bobbling, not juggling.
Okay.
Not anything of that nature. Not hitting the ground like Calvin Johnson. None of that. Not Dez Bryant. None of those to me are catches. When you can stand up after the catch and hand the football to the official, that's what I constitute as a catch.
Okay. I have a hot take on this topic.
Uh-oh.
Catch rule is not that bad. I thought both the calls in the Super Bowl were called correctly, and when I watched the game, I'm like, yeah, that was or wasn't a catch. I don't even think this needs to be fixed. Am I alone on this? Like, this is not that big a deal.
I'm with you on that. I agree.
All right. Ladies, don't forget, tomorrow is Women Crush Wednesday.
Ladies!
We're taking only female callers tomorrow on the show, so make sure you call 985-80 Jalen, and we'll
Here's
play
why I don't like the term crush. For example, if you were talking about your daughters or I was talking about my daughters and we wanted to salute them on Wednesday, we wouldn't preface it by saying crush.
Well, Women's Wednesday is tomorrow, so ladies, leave us voicemails and we'll play them on the show just like this.
Hey, what up, Jalen and Jacoby? This is Darius calling from Virginia Beach. 2 up, 2 down. I do have a question, though, about some career advice. In the event that I stop getting them checks because I was recently let go from a job, how do you think I should go about getting back on my feet? Now, I'm not really a petty person or anything, and I actually pride myself on not being petty. But, of course, I'm not going to do anything malicious to my former employer or anything. Well, how do you think I should go about going for future jobs? Should I apply and say that I did get terminated? Should I say that I didn't get terminated? Tell me about how I should go about this. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'll take that one. I got a good one on this. Here's the thing. Do you know what's harder than working at a job? Working to get a job. You got to put time and effort and energy into it. You have to wake up at 8 in the morning every day. Don't use it as an excuse to watch Jalen on First Take all day. You have to wake up and grind. You have to search the internet. You have to pound the pavement. You have to update the resume. Finding a job is just as much work as having a job, and you have to treat it as such appropriately. Another thing, I would never lie about what happened at your last position. But you don't necessarily have to tell 100% of the truth. Tell a version of the truth that puts you in the best light that will also be confirmed by the people that call at the prospective job, because they will call the last place you worked. If they don't, that's not a place you want to work. Jalen?
As you apply for new jobs, just don't volunteer negative information. As Jacoby said, also, I appreciate at this time, this really tough time that you're dealing with you not only took the time and energy to support our program, but to call in and allow your family members, Jalen and Jacoby, to give you advice on this topic. It really means a lot to us. I'll echo what Jacoby said. Now that you are out of work, you have to work harder than you've ever done in your life. Let me say that again. Now that you are out of work, you need to work harder than you've ever worked in your life in order to get a job. And play to your strengths. What are you passionate about? What makes you happy? What can also put you in a position to do something that is work because you're being paid, but it's not a chore because it's something you enjoy?
So I asked for professional advice on Twitter, and we got a couple tweets that kind of said the same thing. This is from Daryl. He said, how much work talk goes on at home with a significant other that you met at work? Both Jalen and I met our significant others at work, and Jalen and I have discussed this at length off wax. I think it is a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit because some people like to compartmentalize. Like, we lived together and worked together in the same office for quite some time, and people thought that was just it was a nightmare. Like, how do you spend so much time with somebody? It's so advantageous to have a partner that you can work with that knows all the people that you work with, that knows the industry that you work in, that has a full understanding of your environment, that can offer your advice and be your consigliere. That's something that I think is very, very valuable. And one piece of advice, though, is you still need to compartmentalize. Like, when y'all go to dinner, don't sit there and talk about work the whole time. You know, like, you do have to. It is helpful to have those work conversations at home, but you also need to compartmentalize a little bit and say, look, we'll have this work conversation for a half an hour, but then we're going to watch Vanderpump Rules and go out to dinner.
Absolutely. And your significant other knows the parties involved. Mm-hmm. That's huge, because a lot of times if you're talking about somebody in management or a coworker or a topic, and your, in our case, significant other did not work in sports, you're explaining twice. You're explaining who everyone is, and then you're explaining what you want to discuss, and then you finally get to a solution. We get a chance to go straight to the solution because they know all of the ins and outs of what we want to get accomplished. And lastly, it's always beneficial to be with someone that has as much invested and to lose as you. Absolutely.
I want to thank everybody for listening. And don't forget, tomorrow is Women's Wednesday. Ladies, call 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails. We'll be putting your voicemails on the show tomorrow. Tweet us, ladies, at Jalen and Jacoby. We're going to do a segment on the television show, Women Crush Wednesday. Actually, Women's Wednesday. We're doing Women's Wednesday on the TV show tomorrow. So call us up. 985-80-JALEN. Leave us voicemails. We'll be back tomorrow with another dope pod to step to. You know why?
We're not done.